Hello my friends, Amy Esther here with another video, and today we are talking about the symptoms of fibromyalgia. So there's a lot of symptoms of fibromyalgia, and I have a video here on my channel called All About Fibromyalgia where I talk about really in general all the things about it. And I kind of touch on the symptoms, I touch on the diagnosis, I touch on the treatment and all of that stuff. So it's kind of just a general what is fibromyalgia and all the things you want to know about it. So if you want to know more about fibromyalgia after you watch this video, head over, I will link it in the description below, and you can head over and watch that video next. But today I wanted to talk about the symptoms of fibromyalgia because I get this question a lot. People are like, do I have fibromyalgia? I don't know. And I have these symptoms. And they ask me these questions a lot, which first of all, you guys, I'm not a doctor, just so you know, but I am just a woman who has fibromyalgia and several other chronic illnesses, and I like to share my story with you guys. And so you guys ask me a lot of questions, and even though I can't diagnose you with anything, of course, because I'm not a doctor, I love to answer your questions. And so this is just answering all the questions I get about what is fibromyalgia, what are the symptoms, how do I know if I have it? We're going to chat all about that today. If you guys haven't been here before, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I make videos multiple times a week about life with chronic illness, and I'm a wife and a mother, and I'm actually also currently pregnant and going through pregnancy with chronic illness. I'm a mother with chronic illness, and I do a lot of things while living with chronic illness. I even have a program, it's called Chronically Me, where I teach you how to be happy when you live with chronic illness, because you might notice watching this, we're going to talk about all the pain that comes from fibromyalgia and the pain that I feel. And you're like, why in the world is she so happy? You're going to want to check out my Chronically Me program where I teach you how to be happy while living with chronic illness. So I will link that in the description below as well with more information about it. But today I just wanted to talk about the symptoms of fibromyalgia. So first of all, fibromyalgia just in general is widespread fatigue and pain. That's kind of the general idea of what fibromyalgia is. And in my video about fibromyalgia, I go into a little bit more detail about what exactly it is, but today we're just going to stick with that general, it's widespread pain and fatigue. So there are a lot of symptoms when you have fibromyalgia. You could Google it and there's just a list. So the main symptom of fibromyalgia is pain, chronic pain. So if you are experiencing chronic pain, you may have had a doctor talk to you about fibromyalgia, or maybe you've kind of researched your pain and you've come up with fibromyalgia, because pain is the number one criteria for fibromyalgia. So in order to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, you have to have pain on both the left and right side of your body, as well as the top and bottom half of your body. So if you're just having leg pain, for example, you probably wouldn't be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, at least not right away. But you'd want to have pain on, well, you don't want to, but you would probably have pain on both sides of your body, on both the left and right, and the top and bottom. And you can have, there's so much pain when it comes to fibromyalgia. It's pretty, like I said, the general term or the general definition of fibromyalgia is widespread pain. So really it can be pain anywhere. It can be pain in your muscles, in your joints, pain in your digestive system, pain in your head, pain that's sharp, pain that's more diffused, pain that is almost all the time, that's super chronic, and you feel it 99% of your day, or it's just pain that comes and goes, and maybe you feel it in the morning worse, and then you feel it a little bit in the afternoon. So it can be a lot of different things. A lot of people with fibromyalgia have very varied pain. Does that make sense? Your pain can be varied. So you might talk to one person who has fibromyalgia and their pain's a little bit different than yours. That doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have fibromyalgia, because the pain can be different depending on who you are. And what I've learned about fibromyalgia is that typically people with fibromyalgia, it's not an autoimmune disorder or anything like that, but it's more of almost like a neurological thing where your brain, you feel pain like normal people pain. You feel pain when you get up in the morning, and everyone feels a little bit of pain when they get up. But most people, it's not even bothersome enough that they even notice it, right? But when you have fibromyalgia, that pain is intensified. So you get a headache and it's more intense than someone who doesn't have fibromyalgia. You are on your period and your pain is much worse than someone who doesn't have fibromyalgia, which is another symptom of fibromyalgia is painful menstruation. So really anytime if you feel like your pain is worse than someone else's, then I would definitely suggest talking to your doctor about fibromyalgia, because that's kind of what it is. It's just that you feel pain worse than other people. And most people with fibromyalgia have other chronic illnesses with them. I have several, as if you've been here before, you guys know that. I have lots of chronic illnesses. You can learn all about them in the links below or all over my channel. But when you have fibromyalgia and other chronic illnesses, your pain from the other chronic illnesses is worse than someone who doesn't have fibromyalgia, if that makes sense. So the number one symptom criteria thing you want to look for if you think you have fibromyalgia is pain. How much pain are you experiencing? Where is it? Is it on both halves of your body? Do you feel it everywhere? Do you feel it in your head and in your legs? Where are you feeling your chronic pain? And that can help you get your fibromyalgia diagnosis from your doctor if that's something you're looking for. Okay, a few other symptoms would be that you are usually sensitive to temperature changes. So you are sensitive to heat or sensitive to cold or both. I personally am sensitive to both. I definitely am worse on the heat end of it. I get worse if I'm too hot than I do if I'm too cold. I think it's more because I can fix being too cold pretty easily. I can put on a jacket or a coat. I can turn on my heater. I can wrap up in a blanket. It's a lot easier for me to warm my body up if I get too cold. It's harder for me to cool myself down when I get too hot. So for me, that's much more severe. But most people with fibromyalgia will have more severe symptoms when they are in extreme temperature changes or quick temperature changes. Anytime you get too hot or too cold, you'll probably have that increase in symptoms. Some other symptoms you may experience is sleep disturbances or trouble falling asleep. You might have insomnia and have a hard time with sleep in general. So either you're really restless at night, you don't get good sleep, or you just wake up a lot, have a hard time falling back asleep, have a hard time falling asleep, those kind of things. And usually you're more tired, you're definitely more fatigued, you are more malise, and you might even be just more sleepy tired during the day. You just kind of want to sleep all day, or maybe middle of the day you could take a nap every single day. Those are all signs of fibromyalgia. Kind of going along with that would be anxiety, depression, mood swings. So any kind of a mood disorder or an anxiety disorder typically goes along with fibromyalgia as well, and that can contribute to lack of sleep and not getting as much sleep because you are anxious and you're depressed or whatever is going on with your mental health. But typically people who have fibromyalgia are suffering from some kind of a mental illness as well, which makes it even harder to deal with living with fibromyalgia. It's just the worst. Also, brain fog and trouble concentrating. You might have a hard time remembering things. You might have a hard time concentrating on certain tasks and activities. And if you're in school, you're gonna have a hard time in school with concentration. If you're a mom, you just forget things all the time. I am the most forgetful person, and before I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia and some of my other chronic illnesses, I didn't realize that it was from those that I was having such severe brain fog and having such severe memory problems. And not only just my memory, but I'll forget words, like I'll say the wrong word. So these videos, sometimes I do a live video every Wednesday, and sometimes I say the wrong word there, because on these videos I can cut that out. But when I'm doing a live, which I like to do to show you guys, what it is like live, and I like to answer your questions live, but I often will, have those brain fog moments and not be able to cut them out. And that's how my day-to-day life is. I often have brain fog moments. My daughter is in that stage where she's asking me, Mom, what's this? What's this? What's this? And I sometimes forget the words, and it's really frustrating to me because I want to teach her the words, and it will be something simple like a refrigerator, and I can't remember the word. I'm staring at the refrigerator and I can't remember what it's called. So those kind of things are very common when you have fibromyalgia. You might also have some digestive issues. That's really common with fibromyalgia. So you might have IBS or SIBO or some kind of digestive pain, diarrhea, constipation, bloating. All of that typically goes along with fibromyalgia. And again, usually people with fibromyalgia have other chronic illnesses with it. And so I think because of that, you'll have more digestive issues, which will cause more pain because you have fibromyalgia, which causes you to be in more pain than someone who has just has IBS, right? And they don't have fibromyalgia. You're going to be in more pain than them because fibromyalgia increases that pain, those pain receptors to your brain, makes it feel like you're in more pain than someone else might feel. And so we usually have a lot of digestive issues. I've talked a lot about them here on my channel, but my digestive system is all out of whack. I have gone through so many treatments to try to fix it, and it's still a work in progress. We're still working on it, but a lot of people do definitely have digestion pain, whether it's, right after eating or when their food is digesting, or they'll deal with constipation and those types of symptoms. So look out for some digestive symptoms as well. And typically another symptom that I hear a lot about with people with fibromyalgia is cold or tingling feet. So you might feel that like your feet going to sleep thing or whatever it's called, where you just get really tingling your feet or hands or your extremities. That's pretty common when you have fibromyalgia as well, or your feet get really cold. Mine feel ice cold. Actually right now they're just like ice cold. And that's just, I don't even know where that comes from, but that's just something that happens when you have fibromyalgia, is that tingling cold feet. So those are the main symptoms that you want to look for if you are wondering if you have fibromyalgia. When you're getting diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I will say that many times doctors will want to test you for a lot of different things before diagnosing you with fibromyalgia, which I think is really smart, because sometimes fibromyalgia can kind of be like a catch-all, like we can't figure out what's wrong with you, we're going to diagnose you with fibromyalgia. In fact, that sort of happened to me. I ended up finding out later that I had a few other chronic illnesses that were contributing to the pain. Now, I still have fibromyalgia. I still have that extra pain that other people with my other chronic illnesses don't have, but it doesn't necessarily take control of all of what's going on with you. So make sure you've been tested for POTS and lupus and IBS. So make sure you've been tested for POTS and lupus and Hashimoto's disease and a bunch of other things that could have similar symptoms, because you just heard the list of symptoms. There's so many things that can be a symptom of fibromyalgia. And so it can often be confused with other things. And if you do have some other chronic illness, like you have an autoimmune disorder, you want to make sure you know that in order to treat yourself right. And maybe you have fibromyalgia and something else going on as well. So make sure you're tested for multiple different things before you get that official fibromyalgia diagnosis. I would make sure they've tested you for a lot of different things. You know for sure it's not anything else before you get this diagnosis. That's just my recommendation, because that's something that I went through when I was trying to get my diagnosis. And one more thing to note is that you don't have to have all of these symptoms in order to have fibromyalgia. So if you don't have tingly feet, that doesn't mean you don't have fibromyalgia. Or maybe you don't have digestion issues. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't have fibromyalgia. This is just the list of all the symptoms. I personally have, I think, every single thing on this list. Yeah, I have all of those symptoms, and I actually have a whole video on my channel. I will link it down below, but it's the list of all my symptoms, and I list all of these on there. So for me, I do experience all these symptoms, but like I said, I have multiple chronic illnesses that also contribute to these symptoms. But just know that if you don't have all of them, you don't rule out fibromyalgia, because you could still have it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. I hope you guys found some benefit to this video. If you have fibromyalgia and you have other symptoms other than that, let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear if you guys have different symptoms than the ones that I've listed here, or you have more, or maybe you only have 1 or 2 of these symptoms. I'm very curious to know what your symptoms are if you live with fibromyalgia. If you have not yet received a fibromyalgia diagnosis, I hope this video was helpful for you as well and helps you kind of be a little more aware of the things to look for, things to ask your doctor about. I hope that you guys have a beautiful day, and if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on that bell notification, because you don't want to miss any of my videos. I assume if you're watching this, you may have a lot of chronic pain and fatigue, so you definitely want to be subscribed not to miss out on any of the videos that I have coming for you each and every week. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys on my next video. Thanks.